guys. Okay, so let's get down to business. How do you last longer in bed? This is mainly aimed at men, but don't run away if you are female, because the practice that I'm going to teach you can actually help females as well. Not necessarily to last longer, it's rare for women to come too quickly, but it helps to really connect your sexual energy with your emotional energy, and it just redirects that energy as it flows around the body. Just to quickly explain that, what happens when we orgasm is the sexual energy, it sits at the perineum. Yeah, a lot of people will tell you it sits at the base of the spine. Kind of, but it doesn't really. It's more in the perineum, which is the real root of our energy. Yeah. So when we get aroused, that energy starts to rise up. Now you may notice if you're attracted to somebody, or whether you're in a relationship or not, you might be talking about sex, or your partner says, "Do you fancy some?" or whatever. It's not unusual for you to get an itch here. Yeah. So you'll notice this now. I've pointed it out. If you're in a bar or whatever, someone's trying to chat you up, they come over even before they've spoken. They might be doing this business. Okay. Here is connected to something called the Ren channel. The middle is also. But this bit especially is energetically connected with the genitals. The middle bit is connected to the heart center, which is your emotional center, if you like. Yeah, and the Ren channel is explained in other videos, but I'll just recap. The Ren channel is an energetic loop that spins around, and it comes around here, around the front of the body, through the genitals, back up the spine, and then up the back, and then it spins around here. Yeah. There's I think it's a Taoist master called Mantak Chia who calls this the microcosmic orbit. It's not called that. He made that up. I'm sorry, but he did. Sounds great, but he made it up. It's just the Ren channel, which is a bit boring, isn't it? But that's what it's called. Spins around here. The reason why Mantak Chia calls it the microcosmic orbit is because this spins around, and simultaneously you've got another that spins up here, yeah? And this is where the more kind of spiritual aspect of sexuality comes in, where this part of the energy connects with the higher aspects of yourself. Let's throw that away, because I really like to just be dead simple and dead basic, kind of fuck off all the spiritual stuff for now. I can teach you that, that's fine. Look at some of the meditations, and that they will explain some of the spiritual stuff to a certain degree. But you don't want to know that, do you? You want to know about how to last longer, yeah? So I can tell you the energetic aspects of it in the connection, because that's really important, but let's just keep it really simple. So you're going to be so anticlimaxed, if you pardon the pun, by this, because it's too easy. Okay, so sit in a dining room chair. It's the easiest thing to do. Get your palms. Let's do it right now, wherever you are. Let's just get on with it. It's too easy. It's too easy. Put your thumbs over your palms like that. Cross them over like that. Palms down, but keeping that, yeah? And then you won't be able to see, but you can, well, you can sort of see, can't you? Top of my legs, yeah? So keeping that locked in, top of my legs, relaxing my shoulders, relaxing my hips. My feet are on the floor, flat on the floor, and they're parallel, yeah? My hands are still like this in a fist, but it's very important that the thumb goes inside the fist. Down on the top of your legs. Make sure your jaw is relaxed. You stay in that posture. I'm just going to explain what you do. So you have your palms like that, screwed up in a fist with the thumb inside. Relax your hips. Just stay in that position just for a moment. And as you breathe in, I want you to stick your belly out rather than your chest. So that is abdominal breathing as you breathe in. And just relaxing on the out breath. And here's the fun bit. And just to remind you, this is a practice to help you last longer. Now I want you to squeeze the perineum muscle. Now the perineum for men is between the arsehole, or anus if you want me to be proper, but I'm not offered proper, and the balls, or scrotum. Yeah, it's right in the middle. So you've got your arse, balls, there you go. And the perineum is in the middle. Why do I always do that? The perineum is the muscle in the middle, yeah? So I want you to focus on that, maintaining the fists with the thumb inside, and I want you to squeeze that muscle. If you're not used to it, just pretend that you're peeing and you're stopping yourself from peeing. Yeah, because that's the muscle that you tense when you stop yourself from peeing. Okay? And that's all I want you to do. If you're not used to it, you'll probably not be able to maintain that squeezing the muscle. That's fine. As soon as you kind of relax it or let it go, just tense it again. So to begin with, you'll kind of be pumping it until you get used to this practice, which will take 2 or 3 weeks. So you squeeze the perineum muscle, keeping the fists with the thumbs inside, relaxing your shoulders, and now you should be able to feel a heat rising from that perineum muscle. And don't worry, ladies, if you're watching as well, I'm going to give you a tip in a moment. So squeezing that perineum muscle for men, and I want you to feel the heat rising up the spine. And if you can't, just imagine it, but you probably will be able to. Very often you can feel a strange sensation on the shoulder blades at the back whilst you're doing this practice. What you're doing is you're bringing that sexual energy up through that Ren channel that we discussed before. Doesn't really matter, but just so you know, that's what's happening. You may have just noticed the tingling starting on the top of your head. That's basically a sign that you've made that connection. You've brought that sexual energy up the Ren channel, cleared any blockages, and now I want you to release your hands. So keep your hands on your legs, but go from fist to flat, and now put the tip of the tongue on the top palate just behind the front teeth if it's fallen away, like that. And now I'd like you to release the perineum, so stop tensing it. I'm just giving you a moment. Please stay in the position. I'm going to help you to complete this practice now. You won't see me doing anything. And it doesn't matter if you're not used to working with energy and stuff. It's completely irrelevant. And now your part in this, please stay in the position for now. When you finish this practice, this is what is helpful for you to do. You release the hands, you release the perineum, you keep your palms, face down rather, on the top of your legs, and you stick your belly out as you breathe in. This is if you finish the practice. You stick your belly out as you breathe in, and as you breathe out, I want you to imagine and visualize that you're growing roots out through the soles of your feet. That's how you finish this practice. Is very important, because otherwise, and you can sit normally now, you don't need to be doing the practice now. The practice is done, over. Told you it would be an anticlimax, didn't I? Okay, this practice is a part of, it's not the full practice, but it's a part of a practice called the Dia. If you do research on that, it's highly unlikely to be able to find any information on it, because it's little known. But it is fantastic, and at some point I'm going to take you through the full Dia practice, but this is the easiest way of doing it. And what you're doing is you're connecting the sexual energy with your emotional energy, with your throat and with the top of your head. But from an acupressure point of view, from an acupuncture point of view, you're actually, or from a Chinese medicine point of view, you're completing this circuit, yeah? Very often, the reason why we don't last very long is because there's a separation of the energy, yeah? So when we get aroused, the sexual energy suddenly rises, and because there's been a separation, it connects too quickly, and then you come, yeah? That's an energetic symptom, if you like. So this, because we are making that connection, it makes it far more balanced and far more free-flowing, but it actually slows the flow down, which is better, and it helps you to last longer. There are other physiological reasons for this, which I won't go into because you don't need to. So it's dead easy, squeezing the perineum just for a few moments, really making sure you can feel that heat rising, and then relaxing it, and then grounding yourself. That's what this breathing into the belly is, sending roots down to the soles of your feet. It's grounding yourself afterwards. It's very important, because that practice otherwise can make you a bit top heavy and feel a bit lightheaded. You may have noticed whilst you were doing it, you might have felt a bit hot up here. So it's just grounding it again. And that is it. I'm going to go into loads more, and the other practical thing you can do, because I think I mentioned at the beginning that I was going to show you 2 things. That's one thing, and that's done. Do that for 2 to 3 weeks, twice a day. and see what happens. Try from this video and from doing this practice, try not to masturbate or have sex for 3 days, if you possibly can, because it helps to build that sexual energy and it helps to balance, okay? So that's one thing you can do. The other thing that you can do after you've let this practice kick in, so after 2 or 3 weeks, is something that you probably will have heard of, and it's called edging. So you start to masturbate, you don't reach the point, even just before the point of no return, and then you stop, just for a few moments, and then you carry on, and then you stop, and then you carry on, and then you stop. And you keep doing that, and just lengthening the time that you're masturbating for, and having a rest. And lengthening, and lengthening, and lengthening, and having a rest. That's helping you to last longer. That's a bit more practical. That tends to not be as effective if you don't do this other practice first. Okay? So there's 2 ways, really, of helping you to last longer. It's accumulative, it's not instant, it'll take a while, but just go with it. Probably a new way of you doing things, but it's dead easy. It's just too simple. Okay? So that's one thing. Now, ladies, I haven't forgotten you. You can also do the practice that I've just taught. Obviously, for you, you're not going to be touching, you're not going to be squeezing the perineum, which is between your arse and your balls, because you don't have any. Okay. So for ladies, yes, you have a perineum, but it is differently placed than with men. So with this particular practice, what I suggest you do, which is very specific and which is why I've left this towards the end because it is a little bit different, yeah? What I suggest you do, you can squeeze the perineum, but it's not as effective because it's just not built the same that men's are, yeah? So you can do it by doing your pelvic floor exercise, which I'm sure most of you are familiar with. So same thing, then squeezing and really bringing up the pelvic floor. Women tend to respond to this practice much faster. If you're doing it now, or even if I'm just telling you how to do it, your body is probably responding already, because women just tend to be more energetically attuned, if you like. And men, if you're still watching, this is what that practice is for. It's to help you also to be energetically and emotionally attuned, because that's where multiple orgasms come from. That's why women have them far more often than men do, but it is possible. So do that practice, and then we'll talk about that at a later date. Okay, so ladies, you're doing this, squeezing on your pelvic floor. Now for you, and this is the addition, which is where I've left it, now if you're able to, I want you to, don't do it now because you've probably got your shoes on, but what you would do is you would get your bare heel and you would bring it up so you're in sort of a half lotus, but you're sat on a chair, one foot is on the floor, your other foot is up, and then you've got your, I don't think I'll be able to see, oh you probably can, yes you can. So you lift your foot up and then you put your heel on your clitoris. Okay, so that's why it's a little bit more complex for you. So you would put the heel on the clitoris, if at all possible. If you can't, hold the foot and bring it forward into the clitoris with your right, yeah, because then you're giving yourself some assistance. And then with this, you would still be maintaining this. Do that for just a few seconds, excuse me, and then swap over. So like that, and then the heel on the clitoris, okay? People with bodies of difference, I haven't forgotten you. That'll be coming up in a moment, okay? So, if you're able to do that, do that. Even if you can use your legs and you're not able to get into that position, the other thing that you can do, it's not as effective, so the reason why I've told you that is if you are able to do it, that would be fantastic. But if you can't, you can't. It is what it is. So then you would just maintain one, and then you would just put your finger on your clitoris, very briefly. Then you release, and then you do the same with both. Okay? So I'm going to recap, because I said that very quickly. So same as with the men's practice, you do this to begin with anyway. Top of the legs, squeezing your pelvic floor and lifting. Okay, I'm just transmitting some energy whilst I'm showing you this, okay? That's one way. I mean, you can just do that and leave it. And then release. Breathe in some energy and ground it. You could just do that. Or take it to the next step where you maintain that. You lift your foot up, you put your heel into the clitoris. If you can do it without using your hand, you know, if you do yoga or something fantastic, so then you can maintain both of them, yeah? And then swap over. Fantastic. Now, if you have a body of difference, and that includes people who identify as trans or are intersex, but having said that, you know, the people who I know who identify as trans intersex just do the practice that corresponds with their body anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But if you have a body of difference, such as if you've had an accident, or if you were born with a disability, etc., etc., if your limbs don't do what you would like them to do, you can do, to a certain degree, the practice that I just taught you by simply feeling the areas that you need to tense. Yeah. So say you are paraplegic, for example, and in fact this does work because I've tried it with somebody. So you take your mind down to the area. You may not have a great deal of control over that area, or indeed any control over that area, but you can visualize that you're squeezing that area. There is an energetic response to that, okay, if you're able to do that. If you're not able to do that, show this video. You're going to have to play it loads of times because I'm talking too quickly. I do apologise. So much information. Also, what you can do is you can employ a sex worker to do it for you. If you have a willing PA who can touch those areas for you, who can help if you do have hands to get yourself in that position to the best of your ability, you may be able to do that. Or maybe if your hands are permanently that, you may be able to move slightly in. That's okay too. Go with what feels right for you, because you will feel it. Yeah? And as I've said, you can also get a professional sex worker or an assistant to do that for you. And there will be loads more coming up on people with bodies of difference. I've also written loads of stuff. In fact, if you go to shadainternational.com, that's SHADA international.com, there's an article there. If you click on, I think it's sexual services, scroll down to that, I've written an article called Sex Work, a Caring Profession. So it's got a little bit of information on there. The other thing that you can do is you can go to the TLC Trust website. I think it's tlc-trust.org.uk. I'm pretty sure. I'll put all these links in the description anyway. That is an organisation that responsibly introduces professional sex workers to people with bodies of difference. So again, read some stuff on there. I think I've got an article on there somewhere. I've also written some books on the subject, so ebooks. So I will give you links to those as well. So you are included. If there's anything I've missed out, and if I've offended anybody by missing you out, pop me a message and I will put that right. Okay. Wonderful. So you probably have to rewind this video. It was intending to do it for like 2 or 3 minutes. I've been waffling for 17. That practice and those practices will help both men and women to last longer. But with women, when I say last longer, that practice, this business and the stimulating the clitoris and all the rest of it, will help your orgasms to last longer. Yeah, and I mean the actual orgasm as you're climaxing. It can build and build and build and build and build, and it makes a multiple orgasm far more likely. For men, exactly the same thing, but it will take longer. Okay, so keep doing it, see what happens, and I'll be back with some more tips at a later date. Lots of love to you, and do pop along to the website sexcoaching.london. Please do subscribe to the channel. This is a brand new YouTube channel, so I'm struggling to get it going, so I would really appreciate your support with that, and I will speak to you soon. See ya.